Hi, welcome back. I'm here again talking about the Silph Arena and the Mirror Cup, which, if you don't know already, is a kind of encompassing cup. It gives each community the option to run whatever they would prefer out of the tournaments that have already been run. Us personally, we decided to go for 4, and we're going to do them all on one day, which promises to be spectacular. It's the first time we'll have an official venue and a good group of people coming together to do a much longer session of PvP. Obviously, we're inviting other members of the community who might like to drop by and have a drink with us, watch some PvP, chat about Pokemon, do some trades. It should be really good. Our first cup is the Boulder Cup, which was the first cup there ever was. Boulder Cup is composed of steel, fighting, rock and ground type Pokemon. So I have a 98% lucky Medicham, who I finally got round to putting my second move on, Ice Punch, which basically is a necessary feature if you're doing a mirror match against another Medicham. Ice Punch, Power Up Punch. If you can get a few Power Up Punches in first, it's formidable. It's insane. It would be great if no one else had one, but let's face it, they are necessary. Like, if you don't have a Medicham, your chances in this cup are pretty slim. I don't think my original Boulder team, I'll put up a screenshot of it there, but I think it included some odd things. I think Combuskin was in it. That's the first time I brought Combuskin, and then I brought it again to Kingdom. Ugh, Kingdom. It was like, yeah, it probably shouldn't have been there. But hey, it was fun. I like Combuskin. It's no fun if you don't bring something a bit different. Obviously, we have to talk about Skarmory. I'll probably be bringing the 1499 or the 1496. This one here, although it doesn't come up as high in CP, is apparently much better. I don't like it when they feel like they're so far away from 1500, even though I know there's logic to it. If you've never done PvP before, or you're unaware what a kind of PvP perfect is, it does depend on the Pokemon. Like, I'm going to move that down again. When it comes to PvP, in most cases, unless the Pokemon doesn't go to 1500, you're looking for a really high defense and stamina and a really low attack for an optimal PvP Pokemon. Not the kind of thing that you would have considered keeping before or had a reason for. But this Skarmory is rated pretty high. I think he's in the top 100. But you also have to bear in mind, we can go on about finding these spreads, but ultimately it's more about the Pokemon you're using, and getting one that's near 1500 regardless of its IV is probably more important than trying to get a really good one, because the difference it makes is so marginal. It's not going to make any difference in a local tournament, I'd say. When PvP came out, we're like, oh yeah, I got a hundo that's like 1500, but that's not the way it works at all, and certainly not the Pokemon you want to be investing in for PvP. Other things for Boulder. Oh, am I bringing that? Really? Are we doing Bastiodon? Thing is, with Bastiodon, it was a big commitment, and I didn't finish it in the month for Kingdom. I didn't get it finished till after Go Fest because I didn't have the candies. And now it's actually done. It feels like a real waste not to be using it. But at the same time, I think it's Swampert and Marshtomp will absolutely destroy it. He might come. Talking to Marshtomp, actually, I must show you George. George is probably coming. And I understand that Swampert with Hydro Cannon is going to be the preference here. But check out George. He's a wee pink Marshtomp. I love him. He's got Surf and Mud Bomb. He'd be good enough. Takes a bit more of a hit than Swampert. He's pink and he's 1500 exact, and I love him. I don't know if I'll use him, but I'll probably bring him. And then we've got, of course, our Hydro Cannon Swampert, who I believe is called Elijah. There he is. And Elijah is 1491. Good PvP stats there as well. So there's some ideas sort of floating around the Boulder Cup. It's a meta that revolves around Medicham and Skarmory. Boulder's pretty straightforward. I think all our teams are going to be quite similar. It's not something I'm massively excited about. We'll see how it goes, and it'll be a good way to start our Mirror Cup tournament. Moving on Twilight is Fairy, Poison, Dark, and Ghost. I got confused and initially thought this was the cup that you needed a Gardevoir for, but in fact, that's Nightmare. We have Catherine here. Catherine was brought in as my I'm gonna counter the fairies with my steel moves. Although it can beat a Gardevoir, it probably won't be fighting any. Maybe there'll be a meta where that's incredibly relevant. One can only hope. I have a shiny Azumarill, and yellow is my absolute fave, and I love big yellow shinies. This is Marigold. I already gushed about Marigold in my Rainbow video. Rainbow I actually did really well in. I did 2 full tournaments and I went 3-1 in them both, so I won 3 rounds. And I only lost to the winner of the tournament both times. Sableye is another one of these Pokemon that you can absolutely max out because it won't go to 1500. It's not ideal mine because essentially a perfect one's ideal. I think came out lucky with a 12, 15, 15, but it was half price and it was pretty good, so I'm happy. And that's Simon. Beedrill is one. Now I got a good spread on a Weedle eventually, and I thought, you know what, I'll just invest. So I might be doing Beedrill. The Swiper was my Skunk Tank, who I brought the first time round. And then we have Tulip again, but it's so vulnerable to confusion. But at the same time, it is an amazing counter for Azumarill. Tell you what, I'm probably not going to be using much of the Mawile. Venomoth and Gardevoir are potentials too. The best PvP Gardevoir I had that was sort of appropriate was this one. I actually ended up throwing 2 moves on it, which was probably a complete waste of 75 grand. He's a nice male Gardevoir, and he can do Synchronize and Dazzling Gleam for the time being. So we've got 3 maxed ones now, which is nice. I really enjoy them as dragon counters. Then we have the Tempest Cup. Tempest is composed of flying, ground, electric, and ice types. Tempest was probably my favourite. It was basically one everyone went mad over Tropheus for and was like, I need a Tropheus, who can get me a Tropheus? And I was like, aha! You know, what else is the same type as a Tropheus? I call it a poor man's Tropheus, for those of us who don't have one. Meet, of course, Pluff. This is Pluff. Pluff is a nice 1500 lucky. I've got 2 moves on that one too. You're trying to hit the ground Pokemon for super effective. Dazzling Gleam is really cool if you end up stuck with an Altaria, or just a Pokemon that would not take super effective damage from grass and would resist it. And then you've got a neutral damaging option as well. And it will beat a Tropheus if you get into a Tropheus battle, as long as that Tropheus doesn't have air cutter. But it did me so well in the last tournament. It was fantastic. I was really pleased with it. I didn't use an electric last time, but I'm thinking about it this time. The only chance you really have to use a Minim these days is called Cerulean, and it's just nice to have an electric attacker that doesn't die immediately. Not sure if I'm actually going to bring it yet. Then of course Pluff will probably be bringing a Skarmory again to try and kill the Tropheuses. This, I really want a Lapras. Like, it's really good, but I do forget about the water element, and I forget that grass does super effective to it until it's there, and I'm like, oh, I remember now. I've got 1499 shiny Lapras. I like to get to use it. That would be nice. Now this is something I have to probably say is being written off already. Even without that water problem, it's still no good. I really love Glaceon. I found it really hard to decide what my favourite evolution is, and I think it might be Glaceon. Can't wait for Sylveon though. That's exciting too. And Daddy Cash, as we say. They're just so handy. Mud Bomb, Blizzard, which is for your dragon type, aka Altaria. Yeah, Mud Bomb is so quick. We'll probably be seeing a bit of him, I'd say. Unless you are so close to a Blizzard, you wouldn't want to risk really any time against a Tropheus, because it would just be straight on dead. As for regional, that I really don't know. I mean, it's probably going to end up being a Medicham again, realistically, and Skarmory as well. Oh, there's a Shinx down the road. I could go and get that. Might do that, actually. So, we're back now after I got that Shinx. It wasn't shiny, and on the way back, I had the pleasure of hatching 2 substandard Sableyes. Wow, what an outing that was. Just about sums it up really anyway. For regionals you can use any Pokemon that would have been eligible or would be eligible now for Boulder, Twilight, Tempest and Kingdom. No legendaries, doubles, anything like that. We should have a decent turnout. There's also trophies, actual real live trophies for the people who are the winners. If it's not just Logan Rockets winning them all. That just about sums up this video. I really enjoyed Routes Day. It was a lot of fun. I got 10 shinies and I caught over 400 routes. And it's the first ever community day where I didn't run out of balls. I'll see you again with an update after the Mirror Cup. It's going to be a month break after that before we have a new cup to work towards. So if you want to like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. That's me. Enjoy PvP this month and the Mirror Cup. Leave me a comment and maybe let me know your regional team. Any ideas or suggestions would be great. Bye!